How about now? Now I do have a little bit of an echo. Okay, it's gone. All right, can everyone hear me now? Seems like my mic was turned off. Okay, cool. All right, so hey everybody, how are you? How are you this early part of the week? How are the levels? Is the music okay? I'll go ahead and run through the chat and welcome everybody. If you're new, just send a quick message so you can identify yourself and everyone knows you're here. If it's your first time, if you're a repeat follower, just say hey real quick. I want to get a sense of everyone who's with us here today. Gift wrapped, great to see you. Kania Dia, first time making it. Thank you very much. Sprout Queen, great to see you as well. Integrative Healing. Margaret, great to see you as always. Thank you so much. Everyone thank Margaret for her moderating. Always very helpful. Daryl Blankenship. It's an old friend of mine, an old client from way back. Great to see you, Daryl. Thanks so much for joining. Currently in Spain at the moment, so it looks like we'll be settling in Spain actually. So we're in the Canary Islands, settling down, waiting for my residency card. Hello from Oregon, Linz, great to see you. Eric Alexandria. Mind Mastery. That's my wife, actually, Mind Mastery. Everyone say hi to my wife, Joanna, from Mind Mastery. Actually, when we're done today, I'm going to go ahead and head over to her channel and do a mindfulness practice. And maybe you all would like to join me for that. I'll go ahead and mention that before we leave today. Julian, great to see you. Eileen. So let me know if you guys have any questions. We can run through the weekly astrology here. Talk about some of the collective stuff we have going on. Chiara, great for you to join. Thank you so much. As a mom of two, this is one of these rare times that I'm able to be here live. All right, well, glad you could join us. Your best hopes? All right, so let's go ahead and run through this. I did see a question earlier. I think it was from Sprout Queen. So Sprout Queen says, I have a timing question. There's a job I'm interested in which posted on 11/12, so that's November 12th, and the application window closes on December 31st. It would require a long distance move. I have Chiron retrograde. Okay, but the collective question here is with Mercury retrograde for the new moon, which for those that don't know, we have Mercury going retrograde tomorrow, actually, and then we have a new moon at the end of the week on Saturday, Sunday. So the question is with Mercury retrograde for the new moon, should I wait until the next new moon on December 30th? Or just go ahead and apply now, it sounds like. So I'm a big believer of still doing things during retrogrades. You know, we hear a lot of stuff online that we should be very scared of retrogrades and not do things during retrogrades, and everything's going to go wrong if we do it during a retrograde, or, you know, we might have to redo it, but that's not even always the case. The whole point of a retrograde is to learn and to experiment. So obviously you have other things going on in your chart, Sprout Queen, and you know, this isn't a personal analysis or anything like that, but generally speaking, if the concern is about the Mercury retrograde, I personally would go ahead and just apply now or apply during the next new moon. Usually squares are actually a good time to take some sort of action if you want to use the lunar cycle that way. We are just coming off of a third quarter square at the moment, but new moons can be good too. It's really, no bad time to do things astrologically, but better times than others. And in the case of Mercury retrograde, I would say that just be flexible. Treat it as a learning process, treating as a learning experience. Have a plan A, B, C, and D. It is best during retrogrades not to, pigeonhole ourselves into just one singular direction, because it's supposed to be a time of fluidity, of experimentation, of flexibility. So apply to that one and apply to others. Apply to this one in a way that you haven't applied to the others before. See if you can approach it differently, learn. I mean, it's great to treat life this way anyways, and this is why Mercury retrogrades are so important, because they're a reminder to, even though we get in these routines and every day we kind of have this like automatic set way of doing things, that's the Virgo thing, right? And that's what Mercury rules is Virgo. So the shadow of Mercury, the planet of communication, of the day-to-day, of the mind, Mercury's shadow is Virgo, and Virgo is about perfection and organization and those day-to-day routines. And so that's the sort of, the shadow is the outcome of the conscious energy. So while we're over here thinking about things, making plans, having correspondences, that's all the day-to-day Mercury stuff. But as a result of that, we create these structures, we create these routines, we create these habits, and then we just start to depend on these things. And the Mercury retrograde is supposed to be a time to say, okay, let's not take these things for granted anymore. Yes, maybe the car that we depended on for so long breaks down during a Mercury retrograde, but that's because we've unconsciously just kind of automatically assumed that the car is always going to be there. And so then it becomes an opportunity to do some maintenance, to, connect with the car in a different way, to learn more about, our day-to-day life and change things and be more flexible. So, Mercury retrogrades do require flexibility, but hopefully with a willingness to learn and a willingness to do so. So I say Mercury retrograde should be the time of submitting the most applications, right? Or the most resumes or CVs. It should be the time of doing the most ... whatever it is that there's an apprehension about doing, because not only do we learn so much, but having those multiple irons in the stove actually starts to get the juices flowing, the creative energy moving, and a lot actually does get done during retrogrades with that kind of attitude. And if not during the retrograde, then afterwards, we just, as a result of this, we start to notice a lot of these irons in the stove starting to move forward, so to speak. So that's how I like to approach retrogrades. Hopefully that answers your question there, Sprout Queen. So Margaret says, I've been focusing on grounding since the Aries Taurus full moon. That's really good. Yeah, that Taurus side is still definitely activated. So Jupiter is currently expanding Taurus at the moment. Let's go ahead and pull up the planetarium here while we talk about this stuff. So we are going to have this new moon, like I pointed out, on the weekend. So this coming Saturday and Sunday. And that is going to be opposite up to expansive Jupiter in Taurus. So Taurus, like Margaret pointed out, is about grounding. It's about connecting to our inner resources, so self-worth, self-value, basically to ground ourselves in ourselves and ground ourselves in life. And the new moon that we have coming up is in Scorpio. Okay, so this weekend, it's going to set the stage for the new lunar month around depth, healing, and transformation. And by the way, that Mercury retrograde is in Ophiuchus, which is specifically about healing and personal transformation as well. Those are some of the things that are good to now reflect on and redo during these next few weeks with the retrograde. But anyways, new moon, end of the week, in deep Scorpio. And what grounds deep Scorpio? What grounds transformative and healing Ophiuchus? Well, it's of course Taurus. So I would say it's a fantastic time for grounding. That's what the full moon has helped us kind of get a prelude of, a sort of sneak peek into the importance of it. And the next full moon will be in Taurus fully. But the new moon opposite Jupiter, Jupiter's already there. Jupiter is expanding Taurus for us. Yes, Jupiter's retrograde. It is a time to be reflecting on maybe some of this Taurus energy right now, but absolutely thinking big about our self-worth, self-value, self-reliance right now, the natural world, the resources of life, and being grateful, for the material aspects of life as well. But yes, also grounding into nature, grounding into our senses. All of this is absolutely great. Oh, sorry to hear that gift wrap. So gift wrap, I was slightly uncomfortable this week. I woke up not feeling well, but the meditation brought me out of that. I'm happy to hear that. Meditation is very, very powerful, very important. Reconnecting. Erica says, a lot of sleep this week, creative activities on pause, and awaiting some responses from art curators and other people in my life. Mercury, a Fucus retrograde begins tomorrow, so this is going to hit my third house. Okay, good. Yeah, maybe good with that Mercury retrograde there to take a little bit of a pause with some of those things you've been dealing with. I've been feeling definitely more introverted energy. I was sick. I started getting sick last time we did the live stream, and I've just spent the whole last week sick pretty much. As you can probably hear, I'm still not fully recovered yet. I also had to pause with things here recently, with a lot of things actually my whole life. I mean, I pretty much just rested for a whole week, but I really needed that. So I am curious where that energy might be coming in astrologically. Nothing comes to mind right now. Maybe that's part of this Scorpion of Fucus energy we have. Carolyn, great to see you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Spain's been very, very chill, very great. So if you do want to see where the Mercury retrograde is for you, you can check to see where a Fucus is in your chart. Margaret, if you could post a link to the chart calculator just to make it easy for everybody. Check to see where you have a Fucus and Scorpio. So a Fucus is the U symbol, the black U sign on the outer part of the wheel. Scorpio is the blue M symbol. And see where those are in your chart, and that's where Mercury will be retrograde. If you want to, I'll go through all the houses actually. So everyone just go check. If you don't already know, find out where this Mercury retrograde is for you, where that Scorpio and a Fucus are in your chart. What house is that? Find what house. The house is the number 1 through 12. Find out what number that is, 1 through 12. It might be 2 numbers, as he will pass through multiple areas. Find out what house that is, and I'll do a quick reading for everybody, mentioning what area of life will be going through that reworking during the retrograde. Oh, so Joanna is not doing the mindful practice today. Okay, so next Sunday we will be doing the mindfulness practice. Mercury retrograde, inner knowing, inner gnosis. Yeah. Time to bring in all the stuff from the underworld. So the Greeks described Mercury retrograde as when Mercury went into the underworld, or to the realm of the gods rather, to collect all the information and stuff from the gods to then bring to the to the earth. So Mercury retrograde is actually when Mercury is really close to the earth. So if you think about, like, here's the sun, we're sort of rotating around the sun like this, Mercury's rotating on the inside. When we are looking at the sun, so we're kind of looking at the sun, when Mercury's in between us and the sun, Mercury appears to be moving backwards. So Mercury is retrograde when Mercury's between us and the sun. So that means that during a Mercury retrograde, actually, Mercury energy is very strong, right? Because it's very close to Earth. Very strong emphasis on communication, strong emphasis on the practical mind and thinking, right? Very prominent. But because it's retrograde, it means a lot of it comes through very automatically or unconsciously, right? Because the retrograde is that more internal process. So it's coming through stronger, but only because it's more unconscious during that time. So in the analogy of the gods, it's that this is the time that now Mercury is bestowing his insights and these things he's gathered from the realm of the gods to us, because when he's direct, he's behind the sun, and this is symbolic for being in the realm of the gods, very far away, and that's when he's collecting information. So believe it or not, when Mercury's direct, that's actually when we're collecting information, so to speak, or our minds are collecting information unconsciously, if you want to go that far. But it's during the retrograde that information comes to light. It's during the retrograde that that information is disseminated to us by Mercury. So another important way to think of Mercury retrogrades, instead of all this fear mongering and you shouldn't do things and all this that we hear about, or that everything's failing when a Mercury retrograde happens, there's a lot of actual benefits from a Mercury retrograde. And the inner gnosis is one. So from a kind of psychological standpoint or spiritual standpoint, we would say that's during the Mercury retrograde that we are bringing to the surface all those things that were unconscious before now become more conscious during a Mercury retrograde, which is great. So Dance Each Movement says, question, please. All over news feed, it says Pluto moved to Aquarius. Yep. Sidereal's in Capricorn, right? Yep. Has it moved already? Will it? Yep. So Pluto has already started to enter into Capricorn. I've been talking about this a lot lately. This is all the complete revamping to our systems and structures that we're seeing now. It's starting over the next, it's going to be between now and about the next 16 years solidly with Pluto and Capricorn, but it has already started. It started this year, so we've already seen it starting. And it's going to officially, it's already officially entered, but it's going to fully enter and not go back into Sagittarius next year. Okay? Well, now, pretty much. I mean, if we look at Pluto, you'll see that Pluto is halfway between Sagittarius. So this is Pluto here, this beige symbol. You can see Pluto is halfway between Sagittarius and Capricorn. So we still are finishing up with the Sagittarius stuff. That's clearing all that garbage about perspective, belief, all that collective stuff about belief, perspective, and all the stuff that we really transformed over the past 18 years with our belief. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but over the past 18 years, I've significantly transformed my outlook on life, my perspective, my beliefs. But we've also seen that going on collectively as well. So that's all finishing, okay? That's all finishing. And now Pluto is has already entered Capricorn, but because of his retrograde, he's now entering in for the last time, is going to stay in now for the next roughly 16, 17 years, depending on, the retrograde between Aquarius. So that's when he'll officially start to enter Aquarius, is at that time. So it is just starting, okay? And it's the beginning now of changes to systems and structures. So collectively, we're seeing that with governments, politically, economics, we're seeing it. So we're going to see it across all the camps. But in our personal life, this is about transformations to our own structure. So what have you built in your life, your whole life and past life, because Pluto's 250 years in transit, that you've depended on, that you have a foundation with, that you've built, that now you can transform. So like for me, I'm like settling down. I've been a digital nomad for pretty much my whole life. And now I'm like intentionally, probably for the first time, like full on intentionally settling down, like getting a house with a garden and like, you know, possibly getting a dog and all this stuff. And, you know, residency, which like intentionally I've never done before. So for me, that's like, you know, my life, I can see for me in that sense is really getting restructured right now. But it's all going to be for us in very different areas. For me, it's the 8th house, which deals with my interdependency on others and governments and things like that. But it might be in a completely different area for you. So, yeah, that's Pluto entering Capricorn. It's a very, very important time. It won't be Aquarius in true sidereal for another roughly 16, 17 years there. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through the Mercury retrograde. So hopefully you've had enough time here to go check to see where Mercury retrograde is for you, what house that is. So first house, if it's in your first house, this is going to be a time of rethinking who you are. First house is who you are, your identity, how you present yourself to the world, your needs, what you want in life, your goals, okay? Very fundamental, really makes the Mercury retrograde quite strong as it's the first house and very prominent. If it's in your second house, that deals with resources, deals with money, finances, but more internal resources, like we said with Taurus, self-worth, self-value, self-reliance. These are the things going through the retrograde. If it's in your third house, this deals with communication specifically, like we were looking at earlier. I can't remember who said that. I think it was... Anyways, third house is about communication, so reworking communication, learning, and very practical things. It is Mercury's house, so it's just a good time to be open-minded, be willing to learn in general, and go back and kind of rehash things on that mental and communicative sphere. The fourth house deals with home and family, so a good time to connect with the past, maternal energy, our own maternal energy, caretaking energy, and also family-like or family kind of energy, or the past and our roots as well. It's the foundation of the chart. The fifth house is about self-expression, a good time to connect with your heart, reconnect with your heart, hobbies, interests, creative pursuits. If you have kids, great time to reconnect with your kids. Anything that you love in life and anyone that you love in life, it's a good time to go back and reconnect with. Sixth house, that has to do with your day-to-day activities. So health, diet, routine, anything that is about, you know, taking care of those day-to-day structures we were talking about, and even your work as well, and even health as well, comes through a lot of reworking during that time. Seventh house of relationships, so one-on-one, how you deal with others, how you communicate with others, any partnerships you have at the moment, those will likely go through a reworking, rethinking process as well. Eighth house, the deeper worlds, what really matters at the end of the day, diving deep within yourself. And this is very collective what I'm saying now, because it's in Scorpio and Ophiuchus. So this, what I'm saying now, actually applies to everybody, but especially if you're Mercury's going retrograde in the 8th. But a time to reconnect with the inner worlds, what really matters, what are your deeper values, and also your interdependencies, relying on others in healthy ways and others on you in healthy ways, both emotionally and materially, come to the forefront. The 9th house, the area of travel and philosophy, and really your higher perspective on life. So start to re-examine your philosophy on life, your view of life, anything involving international travel stuff, and your beliefs go through a retrograde. The 10th house, which deals with usually our achievements, our accomplishments, career, productivity, more of the public life, those go through the reworking. The 11th house of friends, groups, community, and the future. Those things, good to reconnect with, connect with old friends, maybe rethink your role in the world, how you want to connect with the world, your network, and anything involving innovation or technology or the world at large. Good to reflect on. And then lastly, the 12th house, the house of coming full circle back to finding peace, the spiritual house. Reconnecting with your soul, reflecting on your soul, reflecting on how you can create better mental health, spiritual health, and well-being on your day-to-day life. Comes to the forefront. All right, so I want to do a quick little reading there for everybody, since we can do it quickly like that. Hopefully that's helpful in terms of how to work with this upcoming retrograde. And hopefully what I talked about before about just the Mercury retrograde in general is helpful, as I think there's a lot of confusion about the Mercury retrogrades. Yeah, thank you, Erica. So Pluto will go into Aquarius 2040 and 2041. So Chira, could you look into the U.S. natal chart and the upcoming karmic lessons for the country? Well, maybe next time. So I'll need a little bit more preparation for that. I'll have to pull it up, and we're going to be closing out here soon. But that is a great question. If Margaret, if you could do me a favor, make a note of this, and then at the beginning of the next live stream, can you just post that same question? And next time we'll look at the U.S. natal chart. But you know, really what's going on with the U.S. is the Pluto return. So we talked about Pluto transforming Capricorn, so the systems and structures. And this happened last time this happened was 250 years ago, which is the birth of the United States. So this is the late 1700s. So the U.S. itself is going through a complete transformation of itself, a death and a rebirth of itself. So collectively, we're all transforming our systems and structures, but particularly the United States. And so, yeah, but we can dive deeper into that next time. How long will Mercury be in a fucus? Let's have a look here. Let me see if I can get animation. Okay, cool. Let's go in days, because Mercury's going to go retrograde out of a fucus and then back in. So Mercury will kind of dip back out of a fucus on I'm going backwards. So Mercury will dip back out of a fucus on December 5th, okay? And then go retrograde all the way through Scorpio, and then come back into a fucus December 27th, okay? And then be in a fucus all the way until January 6th. Okay, so long story short, answering your question directly, let's just consider that Mercury's in this very deep part of the sky, Scorpion and fucus, until January 6th, okay? So between now and then, really good for that reworking process, specifically about the deeper world that we talked a lot about. That's a great question, thank you. So yeah, if your Mercury retrograde's on the cusp, then you know it's going to be both areas. It will start with the later area. So let's say, for example, like Xena has. So Xena has the Scorpion of fucus on the 6th and 7th house. So the 7th house would happen first. That's the relationship house. And then it would be the 6th house after that. And of course, we need an exact birth time to see exactly when that is. But generally, it's good to work on both of those areas. Yeah, I did predict the election now. It's because, Trump, it was very similar to the Trump-Hillary election. That's why I was able to, I think, make it so accurate there. Venus, it was the Venus in a fucus, the feminine energy, again, just very weakened astrologically. But a lot of it had to do too with the Pluto going into Capricorn, because if you think about what's really restructuring the country right now, I'm sorry, but it's not the old establishment, And that made it very clear to me that, not very clear, but as the days unfolded, more and more clear that it was going to be the Trump campaign, especially when there was all these plans about, really restructuring the country. So Spencer asks, upcoming Mars retro happening close to natal Mars. Tips on how to read. So that's your Mars return, Spencer. So that happens roughly once every 2.5 years. But the fact that Mars is retrograde, that's going to be quite prominent. So with Mars, and this is applicable for everybody, so the Mars retrograde that we have coming up is, and this is going to be actually quite soon, isn't it? I believe it's next week, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, so Mars will go retrograde on December 7th. So I guess that will be at the end of next week. Okay. Right, so that's going to be a time, and that's going to be a long one too. So that's practically, 6 months of this retrograde. But that's going to be a time of going back and re-examining our needs, okay, who we are, what we want. For you, Spencer, though, it's actually going to be very much personal to you, like really going deep into who you are as a person, how you express yourself as a person, how you assert yourself as a person. These are things that are going to really come to the forefront. But as a result of this, it's going to be a whole new chapter for you in terms of reconnecting with your Mars energy, of being more of who you are, and asserting yourself confidently, having more confidence, reconnecting with your masculine side. But that's going to be for everybody. Time to reflect on our masculine side, reflect on our needs, our own personal self-interest, how to be proactive in life, how to take more initiative, how to get what we want. And again, like I said, with all the retrogrades, it's good to go back and, kind of rethink all of that stuff. So that's going to be here in just a couple weeks, pretty soon. I didn't realize how quick that creeped up on us. All right, everyone. So we're going to be closing out now. Thank you again for joining. Let me just run through the chat one more time, see if there's any sort of last minute questions. Every planet is considered weakened in a fucus. It's just that the reason I was putting more emphasis on Venus is because we had a female candidate. So when you have, and that's why I was paralleled with the Hillary, because we also had a female candidate there. But Venus was in almost practically the same position. So you've got an outcome that happened with Hillary that I saw would be very similar to Harris. All right. Both tropical and sidereal seem to be correct. Oh, so Joe, that's a very rare circumstance. So it seems like your tropical sun rising and moon are the same as your sidereal sun rising and moon. So consider yourself very lucky, because most of us have a lot of cognitive dissonance and having to, figure out which one's more accurate and which one we want to go by, the tropical or the sidereal. But if they're all the same for you, it just can be that way. It's not that every sign is different. Obviously, everything is shifted, but sometimes it can shift within the same sign. So you're just one of the very lucky few who have that. All right, everyone. So have a great week, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll see you all next week for the next live stream. Take care. Bye-bye.